Welcome to Leadership Devotionals. For today, we will be talking about snippets. Yes, nuggets of wisdom. And we know that nuggets are just small or portions of a big whole. And as leaders, the one big whole is character. And in that character, there are certain components that comprise who you really are, what your character is. And today, we will be starting with one. We will be talking about ambition. Okay? The ambition crippler. And the key text is found in Exodus chapter 4, verse 13. This was said by Moses, and the text says, "Lord, please send someone else." The first step on the road to success begins inside our heads. It starts with a mindset. Until we grapple with our past failures and conquer our sense of inadequacy, we will never be able to handle success. Past baggages will only weigh us down. But once we get the negative past out of our heads, we're able to journey toward a meaningful and fulfilling life. Many typical motivational speeches, even sermons, usually skip this important mental step. But the negative, dream-crushing defeats in our past can drown out positive faith-building talk. Our disappointments and failures can corrode our dreams of the future. Sure, we want to make a difference with our lives. But before we can develop a healthy ambition and a passion for God's purpose for us, before we can set our sights on God-honoring, God-pleasing successes, we've got to deal with the baggage of our humanity. You know, when Moses was young, he was educated in the best universities in Egypt. He was trained by the best generals and tacticians that Pharaoh can have. He was trained by the best rhetorics, the best vocal coaches, the best speech coaches that Egypt can have. He was basically riding on a huge success. But all through this, Moses, when he was young, committed a huge mistake. He tried to take hold of his identity, and because of his competence, tried to take hold of events and tried to accomplish something great for God. That's what he thought so. But his timing and his methods were off. And we know the story. He failed miserably. With a dead Egyptian buried in the sand and a price on Moses' head, he retreated to the backside of the desert, in the desert of Midian. As Moses watched the sheep and replayed his mistakes in his head for 40 years, he allowed his dreams to wither away. Still carrying the shame and disgrace of his past, Moses wasn't ready to volunteer when God called him at the burning bush. He had no more ambition to do anything great for God. No passion for significant success. In fact, as God urged Moses to see the possibilities, Moses protested repeatedly. "Who am I?" he asked. Recorded in Exodus 3, verse 11. He had lost the advantage of being raised in Pharaoh's household. But little did he know that God was also re-educating him, not on the competence, not on the aptitude that Egypt has given him, but rather God has re-educated him to be his humble servant, ready to receive instruction direct from God himself. But humanly speaking, now he was merely an unknown, insignificant shepherd. Yes, God calls the unknown. God calls the insignificant to his service. So, having that feeling, Moses said, "What should I tell them?" He asked God. This is found in Exodus chapter 3, verse 13. Moses couldn't imagine himself back in Pharaoh's courts, much less debating successfully with the most powerful leader in his world at the time. But in spite of his protest, feelings of inadequacy, and past failures, this insignificant, hyper-cautious, stuttering shepherd without a message finally bowed to the call and to the will of God. And with God's enabling, with God's empowerment, with God's guidance and leading, Moses became a leader for all time. Fellow leaders, such a beautiful story to reflect by. How God will pick us up from our insignificance, and when coupled with divine empowerment, we can be leaders that God can use and entrust His work on. Let me close with a text from Philippians chapter 3, verse 7 to 8. Paul has this to write to us. I once thought all these things were so very important, but now I consider them worthless because of what Christ has done. Yes, everything else is worthless when compared with the priceless gain of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord. I have discarded everything else, counting it all as garbage, so that I may have Christ. Yes, fellow leaders, the only formula for success is Christ in us. God bless you. Hello, fellow leaders. If you have been blessed with the devotional that you have just heard, don't forget to like, share, or subscribe. Because when you do that, more people, more leaders will be blessed with the same blessing that you have experienced. In YouTube channel, click subscribe to Good Shepherd Consultants. God bless you.